Let's talk about my meds part 2, Trazodone. I don't know why people on Facebook think that this is a heavy drug, but it's really not. It's not a controlled substance and it doesn't have an addictive potential. It's in the drug class of serotonin antagonists and reuptake inhibitors, or SARIs. Its only FDA approved indication is depression at doses like 150 to 300, and I'm using it for insomnia, which my dose is 50 milligrams. This is an off-label usage. It's not really used for depression because of how sedating it is. You would also have to take it multiple times a day because it doesn't have a really long half-life, which is good because it decreases the risk of morning grogginess. It's sedating mainly because of its antihistamine activity. At higher doses, it has more of an antidepressant effect. It blocks serotonin 2A, which is a heteroreceptor, meaning it modulates the release of other neurotransmitters. For example, blockade can increase dopamine in some parts of the brain, and in other ways it can help with sleep quality. I've also mentioned that blockade of this receptor is how atypical or second-generation antipsychotics help with negative symptoms of schizophrenia and also decrease the risk of EPS and tardive dyskinesia versus what we see with first-generation antipsychotics. Trazodone also hits or blocks alpha-1 receptors, which can cause dizziness and orthostatic hypotension, which is when you get up and your blood pressure drops. And for males, it can cause a prolonged painful erection or priapism. Food increases the absorption of trazodone as well as increases the Tmax, or time for maximum concentration, so it delays the peak, which can help with sleep maintenance. Trazodone has a metabolite called MCPP, or M-chlorophenylpiperazine. The M stands for meta. As you can see, this chloride group is meta to this group. If it were on this carbon, it would be ortho. If it was on this carbon, it'd be para. This metabolite can cause dysphoria, anxiety, and hallucinations. I will say it's not incredibly common. So we see that trazodone is metabolized by CYP3A4 into this metabolite, and then this metabolite is metabolized by CYP2D6. Side effects are an issue with higher concentrations of MCPP as well as accumulation. So we might see this with enzyme induction of 3A4 and enzyme inhibition of 2D6. Random little fun fact, but this can also cause a false positive for MDMA or ecstasy. And also pretty rare, but trazodone can also cause hepatotoxicity or liver damage. I requested trazodone specifically because it doesn't have an addictive potential and it doesn't really have anticholinergic activity like we see with amitriptyline and antihistamines and Seroquel, which also has a bunch of other issues. It also doesn't give you terrible sleep quality. Remeron is another good choice, but it can also cause some weight gain, and Doxepin's also okay. It's just personal preference. I saw how sedated the dog got before her vet appointments, and I was like, I need that. So why not? I take it as needed. Also mention you can have some withdrawal effects if you're on it long term and you stop taking it. But yeah, that's trazodone. Next, I'm gonna talk about propranolol.